Hi, so I'm gonna start my presentation now about the UK media. In this work, I divided it into 5 parts. So the first one being what is media, to explain what is the concept. Furthermore, its evolution in the United Kingdom, its role in the United Kingdom as well, and then I will talk about the sorts of media in the UK and in the being the last one, the conclusion of this presentation. So, what is media? So, media is the plural form of medium, which describes any channel of communication. This can include anything from print and paper to digital data, and encompasses art, news, educational content, and numerous other forms of information. Anything that can reach or influence people, including phones, television, and the internet can be considered a form of media as well. Um, the modern digital media include all forms of communications that are transmitted electronically across the world. Some of these modern forms of media, such as the internet or social media like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube, have completely revolutionized the world. So back in the old days, like in the 60s, 70s, or 80s, the most used form of media would be television, radio, or even magazines. But since the beginning of the 19th and to the 21st century, the computer had changed the game. So social media plays a major role in the media. So a lot of people use social networks, and nowadays people use more and more. So it's one of the probably the most important platform or way to produce media would be the social media. So, about media's evolution between 1945 and 2000. I chose the second half of the 20th century because before that the media was an unknown concept. It didn't exist. So it started growing slowly after the World War II. But then in the 70s and 80s, it just exploded. So they start the traditional way of media would be the television advertisements or the flyers, but rapidly start changing. So by the by the 1980s, the media market was like 7 billion pounds and was growing 10% a year and becoming more complex. So a wave of entrepreneurs quit traditional agencies and set up media shops with planning and buying capabilities and trading muscle, as opposed focusing on creating and producing ads, which was the traditional way. So the first media independence emerged in the 70s, but the tipping point came when a company which is called Saatchi and Saatchi Group was founded and took the media departments of 4 different agencies and merged it to form Zenith in 1988. So it was a powerful move. And new entrants included BBJ Media, PhD, and others. And many went on to become global networks and key parts of the big agency holding companies. So was the moving point. So the old traditional way of ads and publishing advertisement on TV start disappearing, and all new types of advertisement and media start appearing in the 70s and 80s and till this day. So the media's role in the United Kingdom, I would say it's probably like the other countries. So the media play an important role in society as a source of information, but also as a watchdog or a scrutinizer. So the media aim to filter the information received and present information in a way which they believe best represents the story. Although this means the definition or the concept of media, not always it works like this. So throughout this century, throughout the years, we have seen channels of information trying to influence the viewer to think a certain way. So not all the time the media plays as a watchdog or a scrutinizer, but sometimes they play um, as a channel that aims to say what people should think. And it depends. We have seen there's always channels that are conservative, there are channels that are liberal, and people, if people don't have the intelligence to see what they're trying to say, or if they're trying to influence them, most of the time they just go with the flow, as we say, and just think what the media tells them to think. So here we have media and institutions. So the question regarding how media institutions should work in Great Britain has right now been raised. So the liberal media scholars recommend the critical ideas as per which the media in a vote-based society should work. And the media ought to give reasonable data which assists the residents with framing their own perspectives and activities. So here the media, the institution should play an important role where they just focus on giving true facts and true information to the viewer in order for them to develop a point of view or an opinion, and they shouldn't try to influence the viewer to think or to have an opinion that to their advantage. So this is a institution should play a major role in media in order to be a transparency agent, as per se. So this leads us to the most relevant types of media in the UK. So I will give a brief description of which channel here it's presented. So starting with television, we have BBC. So BBC is the world's oldest national broadcaster and the biggest telecaster on the planet by number of workers. So they have 22,000 altogether, and 19 of them work in the public sector broadcasting. So following we have ITV, which is a British television company. Its headquarters is in London. It was created in 1955 as an independent television, and the purpose was to give competition to BBC. It's the most seasoned commercial network in the United Kingdom since the death of Broadcasting Act in 1919. So the name is Channel 3. And to explain, we have BBC One, BBC Two, and Channel 3, and then Channel 4. So the ITV represents the Channel 3 nowadays. The last one is Sky Limited. So Sky Limited has 24 million customers across 6 countries, which is a big number, a very big number. Sky is Europe's leading media and entertainment company, and it is part of Comcast Group. So Sky Group Limited is a British media and broadcast communications group, which is part of the Comcast, and its headquarters is in London. So they have activities in the UK, obviously, also in Ireland, in Germany, in Austria, in Switzerland, in Italy, and in the past in Spain. So not anymore. So Sky is Europe's biggest media organization and pay TV by income as of 2018, which is very positive numbers. And they have 23 million clients and in excess of 31,000 representatives as of 2019. So now we have radio. So starting with BBC Radio 4, which is a public radio station operated by the BBC, and it broadcasts spoken word programs in a variety of genres, including news, drama, fiction, comedy, science, and history. and it replaced BBC Home Services in 1967. So next we have Kiss FM, which is a British digital radio station owned and operated by Bauer as a part of the Kiss network. It is primarily aimed to 15 to 34 age group and broadcast nationally to the UK on DAB digital radio as well in FM London. So next we have BBC Radio World Service. So BBC World Service is the world's largest international broadcaster. Broadcasts news, speeches, debates on radio and television in more than 40 languages to many parts of the world, in analog and digital signal, on internet, streaming platforms, podcasting, satellite, DAB, FM, and AW. So we can we obviously can see that BBC Radio World Service is the biggest platform in radio in United Kingdom and also in the world. And the last one we have Leading Britain's Conversation, which is known by LBC. It's a British telephone and live radio broadcast, claimed and worked by Global and situated in London. It was the UK's original authorized business radio broadcast and started to communicate in 1973. So this leads us to the newspapers. So starting with the most known one, most famous one, which is The Sun. The Sun is a daily newspaper in tabloid format that runs in the United Kingdom and Ireland. It is published by News International's News Group. And in April of 2011, it sold a daily average of 2.783 million copies of its paper, which is a big number. Then we have Daily Mail, so otherwise called Mail Online. It is the site of the Daily Mail, which is a newspaper in the UK, and it's of its sister paper, The Mail on Sunday, which is other one. So is a division of the MG Media, which is possessed by Daily Mail and General Trust. The last one we have the Sunday Times. So the Sunday Times is the best-selling British Sunday newspaper with national circulation, being distributed in the UK and Ireland. It is published in broadsheet format by Times Newspaper, a subsidiary of News United Kingdom, which in turn is controlled by News Corporation. Times Newspaper also publishes the Times, which is very known as well. So now we have magazines, which nowadays are not the most typical way of media. So starting with Radio Times, which is a weekly British listings magazine and was founded and published between 1923 and in 2011 by BBC Magazines. So after this year, the publication of the same was passed to Immediate Media Company. So we changed owners per se. Then we have Time Out, which is a magazine in a publication format. It's based in London and also in New York. It's a city magazine and is a edition dedicated to each. There's a edition dedicated to different cities. So depending where the Time Out is published, it's different from city to city. And this one probably being the less viewed one, which is BBC Gardener's World, is a long-standing BBC television program about gardening. It was first broadcast on January 5 in 1968 and is still running in 2020 and 2021, which is very interesting. And about magazines, probably in the future, less people will continue to read it because this generation is more about computers and phones and social media. But there's still some magazines that are publishing. So Here we have the last one, so the last type of media in the United Kingdom, and which is the websites. So I think these ones don't need a presentation, so we all know them. Not only in the United Kingdom, these are the most visited sites, but as well in the rest of the world. So obviously we have Google, YouTube, Facebook, BBC Online. So a fact that I should mention again to confirm that BBC is the leading and the main one, the main channel of media, of information and broadcast in the United Kingdom. Being their website is one of the most visited in the UK, and the last one we have also Twitter. So I think, as I said before, not only in the UK, I think in the majority of the countries in Europe and also in America, these websites should be the most visited ones. So here we have media and music industry. So here I will try to explain the main point, which is how music industry can impact on media, or how can a music industry produce media. So this is a type of media which is the music industry. So a lot of artists can express their opinions, their point of views, or can send a message to the public just by producing music, just by singing a song that is about politics or about the social problems or about anything else. So um, it's not only today that this happens, but it always happens since the beginning of times, but probably since the the creation of the concept, which is media. The music industry have a great impact on it because they can produce media as well. So and also the music industry does not just affect teenagers, but the general population in the United Kingdom and also across the world. But usually teenagers seem to be the most influential, and therefore it can be said that the music industry is a great type of media nowadays. But here the main point is that music industry can produce media by creating songs which influence people to or give information to people or give voice to the voiceless, and it's a great type of media. So I finished my presentation, and to conclude, I can say that after completing this presentation, it's fair to say that the media is pretty much everywhere. So not just in the United Kingdom, but all over the world. So over the years, more and more types of media were created, some gaining more importance and others losing it. As I would say, the radio is not that important now that it used to be back in the 80s per se, and social network is gaining more importance years after years. So depending on the context of society is still very present in our daily lives, media in general. So this means that this has a great impact and therefore has the power to give us information, to give us messages, to form our opinions and to think as we want to think based on the information and facts that are given us by the media, depending on the platforms where they are published. So sometimes you can see that the more credible information can come from TV channels, or sometimes it can come from social network, but always is up to the person to decide which facts or which information they want to believe or they want to to read. So there are plenty of media platforms, but it's up to the person to choose which one they will go to. So I can say that in the United Kingdom there's for example, there's some TV channels that are conservative, other as liberal, but not just in the UK, but in the rest of the world. But I think the main point here is that media is a tool that gives us information to form our opinions on many matters. But also, it's up to the person to decide which media they want to go to. Thank you very much. I end my presentation.